What are the normal GI issues to look out for?
Major ones: nausea, constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pain. So a lot of different GI issues.
And so this is a legitimate risk.
Yeah. So again, there's definitely some confluence here between, there could be persistent diarrhea and what we do see as side effects of the medication.
How common are these issues for people taking them? I know you don't have, strictly speaking, percentages necessarily, but is this something that is very common, is occasional? How common is this?
I think the label of Ozempic, I think that you shared, says less than 5%.
Yeah, upwards of 5%. Yeah.
So nausea, vomiting.
And that was in the initial trial, I believe, that in which it was granted approval.
So it is, I mean, that's 1 in 20. So it's not a non-issue, it's a possibility.
Yeah, and even in a kind of a microcosm of all of this, just being in a pharmacy and knowing individuals that have taken it in the dose escalation process, we've definitely heard of some of these side effects. But on the flip side, we've also heard of the resolution of these side effects too,
given a little bit of time. So, and then my understanding is that that's part of the purpose of the titrating up dose, is to kind of find where that level is and then back off from that.
Yeah. And not to get too far ahead, but a lot of the issues can occur, especially as you're then escalating the dose. If somebody's weight loss maybe plateaus a little bit, then you're in a position of potentially going up in dose again and, maybe kickstarting some of that side effect process again, more or less.
Okay.
Not for everybody, but it's, a lot of it is dose dependent.
Is there anything else doctors can do or that you guys can do to help mitigate this risk?
There's not a ton. I think a lot of it has to, again, do with proper dose escalation, just knowing that the dosing is probably going to take some individualization. Just because your friend down the street ended up on X milligrams doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be the answer for you. Just staying hydrated, I know, is a very strong recommendation, as a lot of the kidney issues, which I don't really think we talked about. There are some kidney issues that can arise from taking these medications, but more as a reflection of the dehydration, vomiting, or the dehydration as a result of the vomiting and not really being able to eat as much and all of that. So hydration plays a key role in mitigating some of that in the short term.
So the big thing is just pay attention to it. Don't just ignore it, which that would be hard to ignore, some of those side effects. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of physicians seem to recommend, and a lot of this decision-making happens kind of spontaneously. That's a good word, I think, for this. A lot of the spontaneous reduction in weight loss as a result of, essentially the loss or decrease of appetite is huge, but a lot of times they'll recommend individuals to decrease the volume of their meals as they get used to this new medication. So that can, I don't know how evidence-based that is, but I think that's a logical place to think, but again, a lot of people are even in the early stages are shrinking the size of their meals already.
Yeah. Cause they're just not hungry.
They're just not as hungry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all that is to say, this article is not completely out to lunch. These are legitimate issues potentially. As to the veracity of the lawsuit, we're not commenting on that, of course. But these are not completely isolated incidents. It is just something to be aware of and take into account. Here's another one.
You know what? Actually, real quick, and the last thing with gastroparesis was that it's very prevalent in diabetics as well.
Okay,
and so again, to backpedal to our first episode, the whole first part of the episode, we talked about the sort of the influence of diabetes on the formulation of these medications. And so there's a lot of type 2 diabetics, or maybe those who are pre-diabetic, even, who start taking these, and there's was it the medication? Is it the potential disease state? Is it both?
Right.
Or am I full of crap? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's certainly a,
or this article says the most common cause of gastroparesis is diabetes, and specific to this case, this woman was prescribed the drug to control her fluctuating weight and pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
required 5 hospital visits before she was officially diagnosed with.
Wow. So they didn't catch it for a long time either.
Yeah, well,
it
that's
sounds like.
they say like gastroparesis is a lot of delayed.
Delayed emptying.
No, it's delayed in diagnosis for some reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I'm sure it's something that you will. Oh, my stomach just hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm used to this. But meanwhile, there's
Yeah,
sometimes a large, clump of food product developing.
Yeah, and if there's, there's warnings of these side effects to begin with anyway, that's like, oh, I was warned about some of these, but then they continue on for weeks.
Right.
Yeah, that could be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. Very hard to distinguish.
Yeah, and with the process of gastroparesis developing, then like Dante said, the process of figuring out what it is, now you throw in a medication, sometimes things just come together. And it doesn't mean that the Ozempic or whatever GLP had nothing to do with it. It just, there's a confluence of things.
Yeah.